Yes, hello everyone, and good evening once again. So, the government of Ghana just announced through the finance minister the debt restructuring and debt exchange program that they have, the policy that they have just announced and want to implement to ease the problem, trying to meet some of the conditionalities set by IMF. And I've seen a lot of commentary going on. Some of it is quite misleading, and some of them I just don't know. But I just want to also provide some input into this the ongoing discussion. So first, start with the question: IMF forced the government to do this. That one is outright lies. Okay, the IMF, the current operation of IMF does not force government to cut certain things and to embark on certain specific policies like as have been announced by the government. So in trying to get support from the IMF will do a debt sustainability analysis and get to know your true financial state as a nation. After that, it will hand over the ball over to you and say, show to us, IMF. You go do all your analysis. Show to us that you have a program which will convert your insolvent country or your bankrupt country into a sustainable region within a certain range of time. All right. So within a certain period of time. So the ministers, the finance ministers, and their experts will come and sit down and then look at where are we going to squeeze money from? How can we get revenue as a nation? And where do we do some cuts? So it's not IMF that is going to give the direction, do this, do that. No, it's not. That IMF is just going to throw the ball back to your court and answer. You should and prove to us that you have a local or a domestic program that you are going to embark to show that within a certain range, a certain period of time, your debt is going to be sustainable, you're going to be solvent again. And then once we see that whatever you have shown to us is credible, we are going to back you. So it's not IMF. Please stop. IMF did not say that this haircut should go on. Whatever people should lose their pension funds and bond market, whatever. IMF did not give this outright direction. No, it is our finance ministry, the people who are working within the economy, that decided that this is one of the ways that we can prove to IMF that we can get the nation back on time. So if you look at the timelines that they are restructuring this debt exchange and whatever they are doing, you see that they have given some specific timelines, right? Hoping that if they manage to squeeze and then keep within some discipline, fiscal discipline, within that timeline, they should be able to get back to certain debt to GDP ratio, which could be considered as sustainable, right? So that's the first thing. I mean, economics 1 and 101 will tell you that if you are looking to invest your money in any venture, one of the basic things that we always compare investment to is lending money to government is one of the safest. We call it risk free in the sense that there's no way you are going to lose your capital, and your interest on your capital is somehow assured, right? And as a result of that, the interest that you gain on most government risk-free investment is really minimal. It's not that much, because in investment, the higher risk you take, the higher the return. Okay, because it's likely that you can also lose your money in the process, during the process of the investment. And so the higher the risk, the higher the return, right? So you hear the people that really gamble high and invest in really risky investments also have a very high return. So now what has happened in Ghana has really defied that basic logic, because right now you realize that all those that gave money to the government are going to lose their capital. And not only are they going to lose their capital, they are going to lose also the return on it. And what do you mean? Some people say, oh, I did not give my money to the government, so I'm not going to lose. all of us have given our money to government. Once you're a worker in Ghana, once you pay a tax in Ghana, so for instance, individuals like I'm talking, I don't have enough money to give to Ghana government, but I pay and contribute through some pension scheme, right? And that pension scheme management is mandatory for them to purchase government bonds. At least they have to use 70% of the revenue to purchase Ghana government bond. So even though I have not directly borrowed or lent money to the government through the pension scheme that I'm part of, or through some insurance scheme that I'm part of, I have already given money to the government. And then the government has said that, okay, for 2023, we are not going to get anything. We are, as a matter of fact, going to start paying, if you want your money from us, the government, from 2025. And we are going to pay it in 2 installments, 2025, 2027. So 2023, you are not going to get your money. You are not going to get any interest on it. Remember, because of inflation, and because that your money is going to be kept somehow fixed over those spread period of time, automatically you are losing your capital. If you then rush that I'm going to the bank and get my money out, well, they say that they are going to sell it at current market value. And the current market value is saying that, okay, so for instance, you have 10 cedis right now, you want to get your 10 cedis. They say we can't get it from you, we have to sell. And what is the current market value? The current market value may be 5 cedis. All right, so that's what they are going to get. That means you've lost 50% of your money, your capital. All right, so that's what has happened. Again, you remember the assault this government pushed on banks when it took over. It raised the minimum capital requirement to a certain level arbitrarily, even though a lot of banks have money, because they've lended that money to government, and government was not paying, but then they have to raise up some money to meet that capital requirement. Some of the banks were collapsed. So first, they collapsed the banks. It created a lot of insecurity, unemployment, and actually contracted our economy. Now, through their own mismanagement, we are at this stage where pension schemes, banks, all sort of people are fearing for their investment. People are just having insecurities. And this is going to go on because the government does not have any way out. Remember, we've been cut out of the international borrowing market. So the government cannot just jump out of Ghana and say, I'm going to borrow from A or B. It's not possible, because our economy is so weak. It has been graded as junk, really bad, worst economy, right? So nobody out there is ready to lend you even $1. So IMF is not saying government should embark on this, but the government realized it got no way out. So the only way out is to squeeze water out of stones and to squeeze money from citizens, irrespective of the consequences, so to say. That's the policy, to squeeze money from the citizens irrespective of consequences. Remember, in this year's budget, VAT has been increased, so effective VAT, actually the real VAT that we pay, is now 21 to 22%. All forms of taxes, new taxes have been introduced, and the old ones, somehow they have adjusted it, including this new e-levy that they've brought. All those things are showing that the government is finding a way to squeeze as much as possible money from the dying citizens. What does that mean for current and future generation? What it means for current generation is that a lot of people are going to lose direction and focus in terms of, because you are not going to have the money, you are not going to have the fiscal room to invest, to build, to buy anything. So people are going to really, really struggle. What it means also for the future generations, that if you don't invest, because remember, investment takes time for it to kick in. So if we don't invest today, future generation will not have enough to depend on. So as the economy is shrinking, it's also already automatically affecting the future generation. So we are in this mess not because of international monetary fund, or not because of just global disturbances, but because of pure mismanagement. The mismanagement that went on for a long period of time. And anytime the mismanagement is trying to show its ugly head, the finance minister rushes to the bond market, floats some bond, raise some money, incur more debt, so to say, to try to whitewash that debt. Okay, so anytime the cracks start becoming ugly, then you rush quickly to the international bond market, raise some more, borrow some more money, and come and whitewash it. It went on for a point in time that the people that were giving us money realized, wait a minute, let's look at the economy we are throwing our money into. Are we going to have our money back? And there and then they realized that no, because there wasn't any real domestic production going on. There wasn't any real domestic value addition going on. There wasn't any real domestic internal money generation mechanism that's going on, because businesses have been collapsed, taxes are too much, and we just became a consumer based economy where we just import to consume, we just go and borrow to consume. And that was what they've been doing for the past 6 years. All right. So now that the external lenders just cut us out from the borrowing, we have no way to go. Right. Nobody's willing and ready to. And now even the domestic lenders, which happen to the banks, pension schemes, insurance, are also being squeezed out in order to show that if you support us, IMF, if you support us, we'll be able to pay this money over a period of 15 years or 20 years. So, what does it mean for people who are going to go to pension within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Bad news. Well, you're not going to, your tier 1, tier 2 pension is going to be delayed in terms of payment. If not even delayed in terms of payment, you're not going to get so much, and even the little that you get because of the inflation and devaluation in terms of the currency, it's not going to help you that much. The second bad thing is the loss of confidence that is going to spread like wildfire. People are just not going to put their money in the banks anymore. People are just not going to invest anymore. People are just not going to insure anymore. People will rather use their little money, keep it in the house, keep it to buy some land or something. So it's going to be very difficult for banks, insurance agencies, and other agencies in the financial market to raise capital because of lack of trust and confidence. And this is going to again contract the economy going forward. So 2023, 24, and at least as they've already spelled out, for the next 15 years ahead of us as a nation, it's going to be extremely difficult. And that's what we have to know, what is going to go on within the next years. All right.